Hi guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I am your host, Savannah. We're doing an episode where I'm going to sit down and interview a fellow competitor about their journey to the stage. So welcome to the show. Introduce your name, your age, and tell us where you're from.
My name is Ashley Mauldin. I am originally from Fort Worth, Texas, a little suburb south of Fort Worth, Texas. But I currently live in Amarillo, which is up by the Panhandle. I am 39 years old, so this year I turn the big 40 in August. So just a few more months and I'll be 40.
I mean, that's very fun. Do you have any plans for your birthday?
No, because I'll actually be on prep for my birthday during my 40th birthday. So,
That's okay.
um, my husband is going to try, he's trying to plan a big vacation for us, sometime this summer before I start prep. So I don't
Okay.
know where we're going to go. I just told him that I wanted to stay in a hut on the water. So,
I do too. If you need me to join, I will come. Um, okay, but for now, you said okay, so like off season right now, and then when are you going to start the next prep?
I start prep. Yeah, I've been in off season for, I think I'm about 9 months into this off season. We're doing a really long off season this time. And then I start prep again. It'll either be July 1st or August 1st. So, just kind of depending on where my body is at that time, like if if I've got a little bit more fluff, by July, then we'll start it a little bit earlier. But we're
Okay.
anticipating probably closer to August 1st because I've stayed relatively lean this off season. So
What shows are you guys targeting?
um we are doing there's a battle up show at the beginning of December in Dallas, and then the week after that is nationals. So I'll be competing in both of those shows because I qualified for nationals last year.
Okay. And how many competitions have you done so far?
I've done one NPC show, and I did the gym that I go to holds a show every summer. It's not a sanctioned show or anything like that. Not yet. We're trying to get it to be an NPC show. And so I did that one last June. And I won the overall at that one. And then we went to a show in Austin at the end of July. It was the Rock Show of Champions. And I placed second in open at that one. So those are the only two shows that I've done. So this is my second year as a competitor.
Okay, so you started in 2021.
Yeah, I started training in 2021 and started competing in 2022. I mean, um, I've always been active. And I've been lifting for a while. But I just decided, in 2021 that I wanted to take it a little bit further and compete. So,
Okay, what did your life look like before that decision?
um, so I've been married since 2006 and I have two kids. Um, my oldest is about to turn 14 and my youngest just turned 11. Um, so, I was a busy mom. I also own an insurance agency. So most of my days I mean, it was busy. I was focusing all of my attention on everybody else, my kids, my employees, my customers. And that was one of the things that really kind of pushed me to do this is because I needed something for myself. I needed an outlet for my stress because running a business alone and in itself is exhausting and you can really easily lose yourself in that. And so um that's I mean most of my day was kind of wrapped up in that. And at the time my job had gotten really really stressful. Um like it was taking a big toll on my mental health. And that was another one of the big reasons why I decided to get really in because I needed something to give my energy to that was going to give back to me. in a
Yeah.
positive way, at least.
I mean, you found the right thing. It could, I mean, if you needed something to dive right into and be selfish, that is 100% bodybuilding,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
It is selfish, but it isn't selfish because you are
Right.
going to be living a long life, hopefully, through healthy habits for your kids and be a better mom and a better entrepreneur and all this kind of stuff because of the stuff that you learn, at least hopefully during a contest prep, because it is hard and you have to learn how to juggle and balance everything. So what were you doing like when you first made that decision? Like what were some things that you're considering and did you find a coach? How did that happen?
So a few years ago, I guess about a year or two after we moved here to Amarillo, I had been working with a personal trainer back in Dallas. And so of course when I moved here, I, couldn't train with my trainer that was, 6 hours away. And so, I actually asked one of my clients, one of my insurance customers, if she knew, because she was really active. And she, I always saw her posting on Facebook, lifting weights and stuff like that. And so I asked her if she knew of anyone, and she recommended these two brothers, Kevin and David Van Boris. And so I actually like started working with David for a little bit, and they had just like a little gym. It was just like in a little garage. It was very early stages of their gym, and in 2020, I think it was, they opened their big gym, the Contagion Athletics, and it's a huge facility. Um, and so, I had been training off and on, once or twice a week, or, once or twice a month, sometimes only with David. And then when they opened the gym is when my husband and I started going regularly, because the gym was literally like one block from my office. So that's what we would do on our lunch breaks. And so after they held their first bodybuilding show at the gym, um, I after watching it, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I could totally do that, and that looks like so much fun. Like, that's right up my alley. And so, um, I messaged Kevin and I was like, "Hey, I want to compete," and he was like, "Bring it on." So, I mean, that's kind of how I got into it. And so he's, my coach is actually the one who owns the gym. And my first year I trained with him 4 days a week. And this off season I've gone to just training with him once a week, and then I work out on my own the other 4 days a week. Um, and part of that is because, I feel like after working with him almost every day for an entire year, I've kind of gotten to the point where I feel like I'm capable of working out on my own, and I know that I can push myself as hard as I need to. Um, and I was like, that opens up his time to help more people, you
Yeah.
know. So, and he's actually like doubled his the amount of competitors on his team now. I think he has 20 total, including the bikini girls and the classic physique and men's physique and stuff like that, including the males on his team as well. So he's got a pretty big team now.
Wow, that's exciting. And it's exciting that it's kind of, is it seems like it's local to that gym.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that environment is like when you start getting competitors in the same gym, your workouts are going to be fun because now it's just not you by
Mm-hmm.
yourself because you got your teammates on your left and right. And
Oh
it's like,
yeah, it's
okay,
wonderful.
yeah, you
It's
want to push.
great because we're like a little family,
Yeah,
and when one of us is struggling to stay on our macros or stuff like that, we've got, you know, 15 other people that are rooting for us. And we've got a posing room up there, so especially some of the new girls, like some of the new girls this year, they're like, hey Ashley, can you come meet with me and help me with my posing? And one of them the other day sent me a message, because we had posing practice and I'd kind of helped her a little bit, to the side. She was, called me to the side and asked if I could help her. And she sent me a message after that. She's like, "Thank you so much for helping me. Like, I was getting really overwhelmed, and you took the time to be patient with me and help me. And I feel like I mean, and that's like you can't put a price on that, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
It's really rewarding to be able to like go from not knowing anything to now girls are asking you for help.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I was that girl just like a year ago. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I
Mhm.
was like,
Yeah.
where am I supposed to put my hand? I don't know. Like, please
Mhm.
don't fall. That's all
But
I was thinking about.
did you ever have stage experience prior to this?
Yes, I was actually a dancer and a cheerleader. I was a dancer. I started dancing when I was like 4. Um, all the way up to point ballet. I did point ballet in college even. And I cheered. I started cheerleading when I was, oh, I don't know, late elementary school, middle school, and then I did like competitive cheerleading, so like the all-star squads, um and then I cheered in college at Texas Tech. I was a Texas Tech cheerleader. So being on the stage is not foreign to me.
About to
I'm
say,
also I'm also a musician, so I sing, and I've had lots of stage time. I belong on stage.
do you prefer being on stage as an athlete or other stuff that you've done?
Um, I don't know because I like it all because it's all a performance for
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
It all kind of feels the same. It's just you're performing something different. Like my posing routine and stuff like that. That's similar to, like, it feels similar to a dance to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It seems like that's kind of how a lot of dancers transition to this and they do really well on posing and pick it up because they think of it as a dance. Like it's just
mhm.
footwork steps instead of
Yeah.
poses. So it's very interesting to see like that background to come across on stage because I feel like you naturally have a more graceful movements, especially in the transitions. Like
Mhm.
with your hands. Like it's so hard. I'm a posing coach too, so it's so hard to teach someone to be elegant and having a
Mhm.
little bit of a dance background. It's so like that transition just to like get on stage as an athlete too. Like I feel like your posing is like naturally like it's gonna probably come a lot easier. So you
Mhm.
basically don't have to try really hard on the poses. You just have to get conditioned.
Right. Well, and two, I think it also comes down to, dancing helps you with body awareness and balance and, just knowing where your body is at all times and knowing, you know, like, especially when you're turning from the back to the front or the front to the back, like, I want to turn my body before I turn my head. Because if I turn my head and my body at the same time, and knowing about, spotting, like picking a spot so you don't like stumble. And that's,
Mhm.
that's one thing that I think that I take for granted sometimes when I'm helping other people, is that is just like second nature to me. And
Mhm.
so, I have to kind of slow myself down and slow my thoughts down and get to the root of what I'm thinking and what I'm doing to help
Yeah.
to help explain that to somebody to make it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, it's fun. Like and the posing is fun and bodybuilding is fun. Okay, so what's it? You said you won your first show?
Yes, so the local show that the gym that I go to here puts on, that was last June, and I won the overall for bikini for that. I got to take home this like really cool axe, and it's like engraved, and it has, the 806 bodybuilding championships, bikini overall. It's super, super cool.
Yeah,
And of course I was totally not expecting to
yeah,
win. I was like, if I can just get like, a placing, I'll be happy.
So how was your show
So,
day for the first time? Like, what were you thinking about during that day?
um, I mean, I was nervous. Um, but I was really excited, and I was nervous just because I didn't know what to expect because I had never done a bodybuilding show before. Um, I was so worried that I was going to stumble and fall on stage, or, that I was going to embarrass myself somehow. But mostly what was going through my mind was just like, I was just excited to have fun. The whole day was so fun. I got up and I got to do my hair and my makeup, and my friends came and my husband was there. And, I'm back in the locker room getting ready and practicing posing with all of my teammates. And it made it a little bit easier because it was at my home gym, so it was a place where I was already comfortable. Um, but ultimately, really, like, all I was thinking was that it doesn't matter to me if I win or not, because what I've gained just from doing this is, I mean, it's immeasurable. So it doesn't matter if I take home a trophy because I've won regardless. I'm a completely different person than I was when I started this journey. So, that's enough,
Yeah,
but
I
winning
mean,
is just gravy.
it is nice to win. Let me tell you, it does make it,
Yeah.
it makes it a little bit sweeter when you're like, oh, doing
Yeah.
your cardio and you're like, oh yeah, let's get this win. Because I mean, everyone that is in the sport, that is subjective. It is,
Hmm.
it is a body, like bodybuilding is best bodies on stage is who wins, but it's not
Hmm.
necessarily who worked the hardest to get there.
Right.
And that's
Right.
the hard part. And that's the really, really challenging part of like, okay, I might have been the hardest worker in the room, but I might not have the best body. And that's a really
Right.
hard concept to understand because there's, like sports, other sports, it's very straightforward. The fastest winner of the race gets a medal. But bodybuilding, it's who looks the best. It doesn't mean who works
Yeah.
the hardest, but everyone can walk away a winner if you are really focused on that journey process and like who you
Hmm.
become during that prep. I mean, the end goal is great and it happens every once in a while. And, sometimes, wins are going to come, but a lot more times it's just like you can take away so much from it during that
Right.
process and just like keep growing. And I really like it because it's like, okay, how far can I push myself next time? I
Hmm.
thought I was really pushing hard and like, what's next? And you just keep, finding ways just to become a better person overall. And it just
Hmm.
kind of translates to other things. So what were some um like strategies that you had to use to get to the gym, to juggle everything? Like how did you balance everything?
Um, well, for my lifts, like I said, the gym is just like a block away from my office. So what I would do is I would, of course, just pack my lunch. Um, and I would keep it in the fridge at the office, and I would spend my lunch break and I would go do my lifts at the gym, and then I would just heat up whatever it was that I had brought that day and eat it at my desk while I worked. So that way I knew that I could get my lift in. When I started having to do, 90 minutes of cardio a day, that that meant getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so, luckily my husband was really, really helpful with that. Because what he would do is I would get up and I would, go do 45 minutes of cardio first thing in the morning. And so he kind of took on a lot of the responsibilities with the kids, like, taking them to school and stuff like that. And then I would, I would either do my last 45 minutes after work, or I would split it up and do, 30 after my lift, and then, or 15 after my lift, and then come back and do the last 30 before I went and picked my kids up. Um, that's really, I had to get down to the nitty gritty with my schedule and optimize every minute of the day in order to get it all in. Um,
Yeah.
because otherwise, I had the mentality of like, I am not skipping. because when it comes down to it and I get on stage, and if I walk away without a placement, I will be okay with that as long as I know that I gave it my all and that really was the best that I could possibly do. If the best that I could possibly do is is what I do, and even if I don't walk away with a trophy, I am okay with that. Yes, obviously I want a trophy because I'm super competitive and I want to win, but I
Yeah.
know that I'm not always going to win, you know. But
Yeah.
if I go up there and I don't win, and I know that I cheated on my diet and I skipped days of cardio, then I'm going to be kicking myself because I'm gonna be like, well, could I have won had I tried harder? Like, because I didn't give it my all. So, you know, I can get really um hyper focused on things and very neurotic too. Like when I'm kind of an all or nothing type person. If I decide I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. Or I'm not going to do it at all. If I can't give it 100%, I'm just not going to do it. And
Mhm.
so, there were days where I was like telling my husband, I'm like, you figure it out because I've got this and this and this to do.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like if you're not gonna go all in, then don't go at all. Like,
Yeah, what's the point?
what's the point? And I think there was some preps that I didn't know if I really wanted to. I guess I didn't understand what going all in meant until I got
Mhm.
beats. And then I go,
Mhm.
oh, I see. Okay,
Mhm.
all of that time that maybe you did skip a session here or you did eat something off of the plan, it does add up. It does make a
Mhm.
difference. And maybe it wouldn't have, but it sure felt like it when you're getting crowned second or you're getting awarded last. You're like,
Mhm.
there was definitely more I could have done. And even if there wasn't, like there's always room to improve, and you just kind
Oh
of
yeah.
get to say, okay, yeah, like that is, we gotta, work harder and like put when you go all in, that is plan is executed 100%. And
Mhm.
that's not, and I think it's very hard for first time competitors to understand that if you've never had a background in anything. Um,
Mhm.
but if you've had a background in sports, if you've had a background, like practice is diet. Your practice to your practice your posing. It is your workouts. Like that is the practice of the stage. It's following your meal plan like a
Yeah.
hundred percent. It's not okay, well, they said this, I'm gonna just do this instead. And okay, well, I basically used it and then I didn't really push that hard and then I got busy. It's like, no, like literally all in is absolutely no excuses, like at
Yeah.
all, at all.
Yeah.
Like when you sign up for that prep, that is, if you want to really do well, it's like, okay, no matter how stressful my life gets, no matter how busy work gets, no matter what events happen, birthdays, family dinners, whatever is going to happen, I will not be
Mhm.
tempted. I have this plan and this protocol and this goal 3, 4, 5 months away. I'm going to spend all of my time, focus, and energy to get there. And that way, when I show up
Yeah.
on stage, like, wow, I like really impressed myself. I'm so proud of this because you don't want to spend that amount of time wasted. Like if
Right.
you're, because you could be in a prep and you could be like, oh, la di da da, but is it gonna, like, why would you waste that time for you? Like, sometimes I'm just like, why would you waste all
Yeah.
that
I
time?
don't understand it either. It's like if you're gonna go through this, I mean, because even halfway doing a prep is not easy.
Uh-uh.
Like,
It's
so if
almost
you're gonna,
harder to fall
yeah,
off the plan. Like you have to kind of like work off, like harder to be off of it. It's
yeah.
way easier just to just do it.
Yeah, like why would you go through all of that? Like going to the gym and spending the money and doing the posing practices and doing that stuff if you're not going to like really try to do it. Like when I was going through prep and I'm measuring out every single thing and I'm weighing every single ounce of my food, my husband was like, I have never seen anyone so disciplined about something. And I'm like, you've been with me for 20 years. You know that I'm a disciplined person when I want to be.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Ashley, why can't you be this disciplined about the finances? I'm like, because I need dopamine. I like to shop.
I'm the same way. I'm disciplined when it comes to my prep, like things are like, it's so weird how like I can organize and I can strategize and I can be so efficient on one thing, but then it's like when it comes to something else, like spending money, I'm a little more lavish of like, if it
Mhm.
has to do with competing, I'm getting whatever I need. I don't care. Like,
Yes.
because now it's how
Yes.
competitive it is. It's like, maybe we always have room to improve. That's one area that I can still improve always. Why we have our other halves who are good at that kind of stuff,
Yes.
so we can spend
Yes.
time. Um, but okay, so as far as like that first show, how long was it between the first show and the second show?
I think it was about 8 weeks. So the first show was June 11th and the second show was July 30th. So about 6 or 8 weeks. So the way he did that was like we did before the first show, we did a prep ish, like a mini prep, or mini peak week, a mini peak. And so, the plan was since it was, the show that the gym puts on, we weren't trying to get me down to NPC lean. I think I was still at the Contagion show here, the June 11th show. On show day, I weighed like pretty much 100 pounds even. And on show day for the NPC show, I was like 95.7. So I was still another 4 to 5 pounds lighter for the NPC show. And I was significantly leaner. I mean, I had veins popping out on my forehead. Like, I was
Okay,
like, I have never seen myself this lean.
how tall are you for reference?
5'2".
Okay, I was like, you have to be short because under 100.
Yes.
Please tell me that she's short, like please, because
Yes.
that's lean. Anytime you go under the
Yeah.
100, it's like, yeah, you're freaking lean. Like, but
Yeah.
it's height by height basis, but jumping 5 pounds, like for being someone that's probably already relatively lean to get that
Hmm.
true conditioning, it's a lot. It
Hmm.
is crazy to see yourself with veins and lines, and you're just like, oh, there's no way I could possibly get leaner than this. And
And then you do.
then you do, and you're like, oh
I'm
my gosh,
like,
I've never seen myself like this.
yes. I'm like, I've never seen these veins in my arms. And like, I started getting veins like in my abdomen. And, I mean, and I've had 2 kids, and so, I mean, but I've always been very thin. Um, before I started my very first off season, um, in 2021, the only time I had ever even weighed over 100 pounds was when I was pregnant. I'd never weighed over 100 pounds and not been pregnant. And I ended up getting up to almost 118. So, which was big for me, like big. And then, so I went from 118 down to 95 from like March, April to the end of July. But I usually have a hard time putting on weight. I do not have a hard time losing weight. So my coach actually ended up taking me off of cardio completely, about 3 weeks prior to the NPC show.
How did that mess with your mind?
Ugh, it was really, see, I really loved my prep. Like I loved the cardio and I really miss it. And it was hard. It was hard to just, especially like really pretty abruptly, because it was like one week he started cutting my cardio down and then he was like, no more. He's like, no more cardio. And we're actually going to increase your food a little bit. We're going to start carb loading you a little. He's like, because we cannot have you get any, he's like, we're going to start losing muscle at this point. So it was it did kind of mess with my head a little bit because I was like, what do I do with this time? Like, I don't know what to do with this time now. Like,
Right.
I
It's
was
not
on
supposed
this
to have,
roll.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interrupting your routine. And that usually happens like post show where you're like, oh, now I have this time, like going into a show. And now you're just like sitting there, you're like lean, like I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
And now I am just going to have to be hungry at home because I don't have to do this cardio.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to like, and especially like trying to hold myself there for like, you know, 2 to 3 weeks,
Yeah.
being like where we want to be at the show and being there that early,
Yeah.
which, I would rather be there early and just hold there, than not get to where I need to be,
Yeah.
until 2 weeks after the show.
Yeah.
That would be the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you get there early and it's nice and you just cruise in, but mentally you're like, am I doing the right things? Should I be eating this? Should I push harder, even though I'm not supposed
Hmm.
to? Because you think
Yeah.
more is more. And then sometimes it's like, okay, now we got to push hard. So it's like, I don't know, is the grass greener? Should I feel like I'm pushing hard or should I be ready early? It's like, you're
Yeah.
gonna it's either one. It's great, but that's awesome that you got ready so early and were able to kind of cruise into your show. Okay, and then for this show, how did this show end up going? How was this show day different?
Um, it was a lot. It was a lot more sensory overload. I will say that because there were so many more competitors and it was a long day, really long day. Um, and I wasn't sleeping in my own bed. I was, in a hotel room and, just trying to manage all of that. Um, but I mean, it was I had a really, really good time, and I think I had an even better time at that one because I was even more prepared, and that was like, for me, that was like big show. That was like a big time show. Um, and I ended up so I entered a bunch of classes. I basically entered every single class that I was eligible for. So I did true novice, novice, open, and masters. I did the 35 and up masters. And so this next year I'll be able to do the 35 and up and 40 and up. Um, I placed second in true novice, fourth in novice, second in open, and second in masters. So I was so close. I
Okay,
was so close.
wait, so you said novice was fourth?
It was a weird thing. Because there were girls in novice that I beat in other
Yeah,
classes.
yeah,
So I was like, I don't understand this. How am I fourth
yeah.
below these two girls when in this class that you just announced, I was second with these same girls? But um
Yes, that is the fun part about being subjective, where they truly don't know you every time
hmm
you're on stage. They don't remember because it's a new class, it's new competitors. So you are
yeah.
truly getting judged just on the second that you are on stage.
hmm
That's
Yep.
it. So even if you did win your class prior, they don't know. Like I
Yeah.
mean, they can see it on the sheet and everything, but like all they are able to look at is right in front of them for that 10 seconds. So if you don't
Yeah.
bring it in the 10 seconds, then you can go down, which is so interesting because it truly is the best body on that day on front of
hmm
them on that stage.
Yeah.
And I mean, not, I mean, in your case, it's not exactly that day, but it's just on the stage at that time.
At that time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you placed, but it is sometimes confusing as a new competitor how that can happen, and it's happened
hmm
before, and you're just like, how did I beat you in this and that? And you're like, something's not adding up, but it really could have
Yeah.
been maybe those other two girls were super nervous on True Novice. Then they
hmm
came out and then they were in novice and they like really brought it, or there was more competitors that weren't in true novice that I mean, you don't even know. Who
I
knows?
mean, it could even be as simple as like, by the time I got to novice, my carbs had worn off and I got a little flat
You could
during that one.
literally, you have no idea, but it's so interesting, like how, like when you're stage lean, you carbs, sodium, all the stress. I mean, you could stress yourself into terrible conditioning. It's happened.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to a lot of competitors with travel. If you overthink stuff, you could be looking absolutely amazing Friday. If you stress yourself, you don't sleep, you wake up Saturday and you're all watery and you're like, what is this physique? This is not me.
Mm-hmm.
It happens fast because your metabolism is like so fast, and like you throw
Mm-hmm.
those carbs in and you're either gonna absorb them, sometimes you spill over. Like there's just at the very, very end,
Yeah.
like there's so many things
That's the
that
one thing that I think is so fascinating just about this
yeah,
sport is like how precise the science is with it, like,
yes,
even just understanding how, the science behind carb loading and carb depletion and water loading and stuff like that and dehydrating before and how it all works, how it works by like, the carbs pull the water into the muscle and just the physics behind it. It's I mean, I totally nerd out on that stuff.
yeah. And it's interesting too, from peak to peak, like how small a change will make such a great impact. It could
Hmm.
be literally like 20 grams of carbs, 50 grams of carbs. It could be the day that you load. It could be, okay, instead of doing it 24 hours, we're going to do it 2 days in advance, or we're going to wait and do it the day of, or the selection of carb. Like that's why I
Hmm.
really like bodybuilding, because it is based on science, but it's not a perfect science, especially when it comes to
Right.
peaking, and it's person by person. So even if you have, two identical twins, like one might respond better to rice cakes, and then one might like Rice Krispie treats or something, or
Hmm.
one might need to come in fuller, one might need to come in flat, one might need to pump the glutes, one might need to pump the upper body. Like there's so many little things that you can do to like bring this crazy perfect package on stage. And it
Hmm.
is an illusion because you only have to hold that conditioning for 10 seconds, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But
Yeah.
because it is only judged during the time that you're on stage, what can you manipulate with all these little details and the preps and the cardio selection and all these workouts for 16
Hmm.
20 weeks to get there, which I get really excited about it too, because it's like there, you can't ever perfect it. Like even at the very
Right.
highest level, you can
But it sure
always,
is fun to chase it.
it's fun. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, let's manipulate bands, workout, like, I mean, anything.
Yeah. It's
There's
like a
so,
constant experiment with your body and like learning, like every day you're learning something new about your body. And I really started learning a lot about my body during prep. Um, when I started cutting carbs and fat and stuff like that, and I started noticing that, I actually do really well on a low fat diet. Like I feel really good on a low fat diet and a medium carb diet. Like my diet right now is super high carbs. I mean, I'm eating almost 3,000 calories a day right now. Like my carbs are at 310. My protein's at 140, and my coach said that he's about to go up on my food again next month. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Like,
you're one of those, because if it's hard for you to keep or build weight, you're gonna have to push food. And that's,
hmm
I mean, it's
it's
kind of
super
nice.
hard.
It's hard either way because you just
Yeah.
feel so like full and like sluggish because you're trying to eat all this food and stuff like that. I'm the opposite, where I have the luxury of eating nothing and gaining a ton and having a hard time losing. So I always am trying to figure out ways to increase activity, and
hmm
I do have to keep my carbs, like when people say what their calories are, I'm like, ooh, that must be nice. But it's different too, because I have to, struggle to find ways to keep cardio in year round. Uh,
hmm
keep the food a little bit lower because I can't handle carbs. I can't handle, so my body really doesn't like to lose body fat. So I really have to focus on like not doing these huge swings and just keeping as lean as
hmm
um, and it's interesting because every body is different in the sport.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to like grow into it and eat a
hmm
ton. I'm someone that it's like, okay, I can grow pretty easy, but I have to lean out is the hard part. So it's like,
Right.
every single person gets the same stage conditioning in a different way and a different method. And it's very interesting to me to see like how that happens. And it's it's cool because it is an experiment and it's a fun
Yeah.
experiment. And um, especially with like the food part of it too. It's like, what's gonna
Yeah.
work? Just it's
Well,
trial and
one thing that I have tried to do just simply because I'm having to eat so many calories right now, especially, is I've tried to find foods that are very dense
yep,
in calories and low in volume.
yep.
So, I eat a lot of like the extra lean ground beef. So one of my favorite things, it's one of my go-to meals in prep and off prep is I'll take the those Quest protein chips, the chili lime, those are my favorite. I probably eat about 3 or 4 bags of those every single day because I'll just snack on those. I'll take those. I'll do about 100 to 120 grams of the extra lean ground beef and then some like 2% cheese. And then depending on if I'm in prep or off season, I might add some sour cream, some, salsa, and I'll make nachos with it. And it is like so good. And
Yeah, and
it's
it's
like
healthy.
60 grams of protein in that. And like, I think like 11 or maybe 15 grams of carbs in the whole thing,
Yeah.
And so it's like I can really get a lot of macros in there.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite where I gotta find high volume, low calorie stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
salad city, lettuce to everything, more lettuce, like anything that can be like rice cakes, like just things so I can feel like I'm eating more when I'm not really
Yeah.
more. But it's fun to kind of experiment and find ways to make like these bad foods healthy, but it makes it
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable too. Because like prep doesn't have to be miserable when it comes to food or cardio and everything like that too. Like it really doesn't. And so you just have to find what's going to work best for you. Because like what works best for me and works best for you as far as like
Mm-hmm.
what you eat and how you fit in your cardio and time that you do your cardio. Like it's not going to be the same person to person.
Right. Oh, I still made sure I found room to have either my bowl of cereal each night or my 3 Oreos and skim milk,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just, load up on protein throughout the day and I'll bank my carbs because I want that treat. And that was like, my little bowl of cereal, which was like, I think it was like 30 something grams of carbs for, a little bowl, a cup of Cap'n Crunch. Or like 3 Oreos and and the Fairlife skim milk, that's the one that I found is the best because it's like it has like double the protein of other skim milks and like half the carbs. I think a cup of the Fairlife skim milk has like I think it might have like 6 grams of carbs and I think 9 or 12 grams of protein and of course no fat. So
Yeah.
that's the Fairlife is always my go-to.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so as far as like other competitors that are interested in getting into this sport, what's some like last pieces of advice that you could give to someone that wants to start a fitness journey?
Oh, goodness, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I would tell them. Um, as far as like competing, my word of advice would be to, make sure you have a good support system. Make sure your spouse is on board. Um, hang on, sorry, my mother was calling me. Make sure your spouse is on board because um that's going to be one of the biggest people that you lean on and that help you need to help you and just like trust the process, like trust what you're, if you feel like you have done your due diligence in hiring your coach, don't just choose some random coach. Do your research and make sure you choose a coach who has a proven track record, um, and just do what they tell you to do. Like, even if you don't think it makes sense, even if you don't want to do it, like, just do what your coach tells you to do.
Yep, it's very, very simple. If you want results, just trust your coach and
Yeah,
trust.
trust your coach. Like, they're the expert. You hired them for a reason. So, if you're going to spend the money and spend the time, then, don't waste your money and waste your time. Like, hire somebody that you feel confident and trust and, that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like when Kevin tells me to do something, I'm like, whatever. Like when he told me recently to, up my carbs, I was like, that's going to put me at like 310 grams of carbs a day. And he was like, welcome to the big boys club. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
basically, how if my coach says jump, all you have to be is like, how high? How
how
high am I
high?
going?
Yeah.
Yep, literally.
Yep.
So it makes it really simple. You just take this, don't question it. Literally, if you stop questioning it, it makes it so easy. Just be a little soldier, a little prep soldier. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Whatever I need to do, let me know. And but be able to report feedback. Don't complain. Just let them know how it's going. So in case they do need to make a change, they know all the facts. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if anyone wants to follow you in your journey online, where can they do so?
My Instagram is at punky1322. So my husband, when we met, thought that I looked like Punky Brewster and he nicknamed me Punky. And so
That is your
and so
handle.
that's my handle.
Thank you for
I don't
coming.
do TikTok or anything. So
Okay. That's fine. Okay. So if you could choose between Team Cupcake or Team Protein Shake, what would you be?
how about a cupcake flavored protein shake?
Okay. And what flavor?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably chocolate.
Chocolate for sure. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get your episode here posted. Probably won't be until next month, but thanks for coming on the show and sharing your journey with us today.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's good talking to you.